Watchdogs at Open the Books have obtained data on Austin's traffic tickets.
So last year, the city was only able to collect fines for about half of those tickets. Jeremy Portnoy from OpenTheBooks.com joins us with more. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Allison and John Carlos.
Thanks for being with us. So let's get right into it. How many red lights and speeding tickets did Austin hand out last year?
Yeah, we got this data from the court system. They told us last year Austin handed out 17,177 tickets. But of course, the fine doesn't actually get imposed until the driver shows up in court. That only happened 10,916 times. Most of those ended up being collected once the driver showed up. So in the end, it brought in $1.9 million of revenue. So the court told us three main reasons why sometimes they're failing to get the defendant to show up in court. Sometimes they have to issue a legal order because the driver just doesn't show up. Sometimes the case gets dismissed before sentence because it can get deferred for taking a driver safety course or something like that. Or sometimes they just can't find a trial date in time and they're still waiting to get a court appearance. So that's how we get that 60%, right?
I see speeders and red light runners all the time, so that number doesn't surprise me. But Jeremy, how does it compare to other cities?
It's definitely on the low end. It varies a lot, but it's not often that we see a city with a population as large as Austin writing so few tickets, right? We've looked at Nashville and Las Vegas. Those are both smaller cities than Austin. They're writing just over 20,000 tickets a year. Baltimore's writing 750,000. The state of Maine as a whole is writing 57,000 tickets. And even within Texas, it varies. Arlington is writing about twice as many as Austin. Dallas County handed out only 2,000 speeding tickets last year. So definitely varies a ton throughout the country.
So let's talk about those parking tickets here in Austin.
Yeah, so the new report just came out from the Austin American-Statesman. They found the city's bringing in $2.8 million a year from parking tickets. But same story there. A lot of those go unpaid. They say 160,000 of them over the last 5 years have never been collected. There's one person they found with 255 tickets racked up just by themselves. There's few consequences for not paying them, right? It doesn't impact your credit score. The statesman said it's basically just an honesty policy that the city's relying on, hoping people will pay their parking tickets.
So, Jeremy, can you give us some context? How significant are these tickets to Austin's budget?
Yeah, so when you look at all the taxes and fees Austin's bringing in, these parking tickets and speeding tickets and red light tickets, it's only 0.002% of the budget. So basically just a total non-factor, which is probably a good thing for drivers, right? If you look at a city like Coffee City, Texas, a few hours away, you might have read they're relying on tickets for an entire third of their budget. So drivers are getting 10 to 20 tickets there per person. But here in Austin, police likely have less incentive to write you a ticket since they're not relying on it for the budget. But at the same time, somewhere like Baltimore, it's bringing in 1% of their revenue. They're able to depend on that slightly more than relying on charging really high property taxes like we talk about in Austin. So there's fewer avenues for that property tax reform when there's less revenue coming in.
Oh, Jeremy, thank you so much for looking into those numbers. Always great information you share with us. Thank you for chatting with us this morning.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. You can always find these reports at OpenTheBooks.com.